In this video, you will be introduced to the aligned dimensioning style for architectural drafting in AutoCAD. The dimensioning protocol or style of annotating mechanical and structural measurements in architecture and interior design within the United States is referred to as the aligned style. Let's look at the parts of a dimension to better understand the reference of the term aligned. It is important to understand that dimension styles are different between mechanical engineering drawings and architecture design drawings. There are three primary governing bodies that oversee the voluntary compliance to drawing standards: American National Standards Institute, American Institute of Architects, and the National CAD Standards (NCS). The compliance to graphic standards is an important, voluntary action on the part of the design professional to learn, understand, and implement into their drafting practice. It is also important to understand that dimensioning practices may vary slightly among different firms, architects, and designers as well. However, this video will outline the rules for dimensioning, as well as how to set up the aligned dimensioning style in AutoCAD. Architecture and interior design dimensions in the United States are typically defined in feet and inches, following the imperial system of measurement, where 12 inches equals 1 foot. The following example helps to define the parts of an aligned architectural dimension. Let's take a look at the parts of a dimension notation. All dimensions have some commonalities, which is that there is an object that the dimension references and helps to define to be built. The lines that the dimensions reference are called object lines. Walls, door openings, window openings, and elevations are just a few examples of lines that reference objects. The thin lines that guide your eye to the object lines are called extension lines. Extension lines are thinner in weight or thickness, so that they do not visually compete with the object lines. Object lines should be seen first. There should be a gap between the object line and the beginning of the extension line. The graphic standard gap should be between 3/32 and 1/8 inch. Extension lines typically overlap the dimension line between 3/32 and 1/8 inch. The line that the dimension text rests on is called the dimension line. A dimension line spans between two extension lines, marked on each end by architectural ticks, or arrowheads. The dimension line should not be broken by the text. The gap between the dimension line and text should be between 3/32 and 1/8 inch. The size of the text should be 3/32 of an inch for dimensions. The size of the architectural ticks and/or arrowheads should be 3/32 to 1/8 inch in size. At this point, you should start to recognize a pattern when selecting sizes for formatting dimensions in AutoCAD. The next step is to set up the AutoCAD dimension format. The dimension style settings in AutoCAD defines how your dimension will appear in the drawing. Dimension styles vary greatly among different professions. Therefore, it is essential to set up the style that is associated with the architecture and interior design professions. At the command line, type dim style, return, enter key. Locate the standard style. You can see that the preview shown in the window here does not match the anatomy of a dimension that you were just introduced to a moment ago. We will modify the standard style by picking on the plus symbol here. We are now creating a new style but using a duplicate of the standard style. Name this style something unique, a name which you will recognize later on. I recommend naming the dimension style as your last name, since that is easiest to recognize among the style names. Check the box here for the dynamic annotative sizing feature. Locate the Primary Units tab at the top of the dialog box. The units must be changed first from decimal to architectural units. Precision should be between 1/16 and 1/8. Set the fractional format to horizontal. The dimension round-off should be 1/4 inch. In the zero suppression area, uncheck inches box. In the angular dimensions area, decimal degrees is the correct choice with a 0 precision. None of the boxes in this area should be checked. These are the default settings for angular dimensions in the standard style, and these are in agreement with the aligned architectural style we are creating. From the top of the dialog box, locate and pick on the Symbols and Arrows tab. In the Arrowheads category, Set the first and second markers to architectural tick instead of a closed filled arrow. Leader should remain as a closed filled arrow. Arrow size should be reset to 330 seconds. The dimension break is 1/8. In the center marks category, the mark radio button should be filled in. The size should be set to 330 seconds. In the radius jog dimension, the jog angle is set to 45 degrees. Retain the default settings for the arc length symbol category. Retain the default setting for the linear jog dimension. From the top of the dialog box, locate and pick on the Lines tab. In the Dimension Lines category, under the Color pull-down menu, choose By Layer. Under the Line Type pull-down menu, choose By Layer. Under the Line Weight pull-down menu, choose By Layer. We typically want the object color, line type, and line weight to be defined through the layer settings. The dimension line may extend beyond the tick marks. This is a matter of style preference. Let's take a hyper pause here to clear up what this setting means. In the left example, you can see that the dimension line extends beyond the extension lines by 1/16 of an inch. In the right example, the value is set to 0 inches so that the dimension line does not extend beyond the extension lines. This is a style preference among AutoCAD users that is up to you to choose. The vertical extension lines, however, should extend beyond the dimension line. We will look at that setting in a moment. Therefore, if you do not want the dimension line to extend beyond the extension line, leave the value at 0. If you like the look of the extended dimension lines, the value should be set between 1/16 and 1/8. Retain the baseline spacing at 3/8. Do not check any of the dimension line suppression boxes. Locate the Extension Lines category. In the Extension Lines color setting pull-down menu, choose By Layer. In the first line type extension pull-down menu, choose By Layer. In the second line type extension pull-down menu, choose By Layer. In the line weight pull-down menu, select 0.006 inches. Or, if set in millimeters, set to 0.15 millimeters. Do not check any of the dimension line suppression boxes. In the Position and Length category, in the Extend Beyond Dim Lines field, type in 1/16. In the Offset from Origin, choose between 1/32 and 1/16 of an inch. Do not check Fixed Length extension lines here. Locate and pick on the Text tab on the dialog box. In the Appearance category, change the text style by picking on the 3 dots, adjacent to the standard pull-down menu. This brings up a secondary text setting dialog box. In the Styles column, Standard should be highlighted. At the bottom of this column, pick on the plus sign to create a new style. Name the new style something that you will recognize, such as your last name. In the Adjacent column, you will link a specific font to the text style you have just created. This is where you can pick an architectural stylized font, such as graphite or heavy hand font styles. Alternatively, you may have to choose an ADA-compliant font style such as Arial instead. When producing drawings for any government or nonprofit organizations, you will be required to select a font among the ADA-compliant list of fonts. This list can be found online. Whatever AutoCAD recommends for the width factor should be retained. The width factor is an inherent part of the design of the font style. Text height should be 0 inches. This setting gives you the ability to size the text within the various text commands in AutoCAD. If you input a setting here, this is a hard override. This is only done within firms where there are many specialized font styles to select from that are used in specific circumstances. For general use, never assign a text height to a specific text style. Angle should be set to 0. By picking on this blue scale symbol, you are enabling AutoCAD auto-sizing known as the annotative setting. The annotative setting is recommended as it will retain the text size within the file when you scale the drawing within the viewport. In this way, you may have many different viewports, all at various scales, and the text will be consistent throughout the sheet set of drawings. When you have selected a style and picked on the annotative scale symbol, choose the Apply button and then Close button. You are now back in the dimension settings. From the Text Style pull-down menu, choose the style that you just created. From the Text Color pull-down menu, choose By Layer. For the Fill color, retain the default value of none. In the Text Height field pull-down menu, choose 3/32 inches. In the fractional height field, retain the height scale of 1.0. Leave unchecked the setting entitled Show Text Frame. In the placement category, the vertical text placement should be set to above. The horizontal text placement should be set to centered. The view direction field should be the default setting as left to right. The text placement above the dimension line should be between 1/32 and 3/32 inches. In the alignment category, the text should always be aligned with dimension line. This is primarily why the dimension style name is referred to as the align style. In most cases, the dimension lines and dimension text are aligned to the object it references in this style. Locate and pick on the Fit tab at the top of the dialog box. In the Fit Options category, if there is not enough room for parts of the dimension, the first element of the dimension that should be placed outside of the extension lines is text. Do not choose the suppression option for the arrows. This can be dealt with on a case-by-case basis while dimensioning. In the text placement category, when text is not in the default position, place it beside the dimension line. In the Scale for Dimension Features category, check Annotative if it is not already checked. In the Fine-Tuning section, check the option Draw Dim Line between extension lines. As a side note, I also check the option to place text manually, but I do not recommend this setting for beginners until you know the mechanics of placing dimensions and strings of dimensions. We've already covered the Primary Units tab, and this dimension style does not require alternate units or tolerances. Pick the OK button at the bottom of the dialog box. Make sure that you see the new dimension style that you created during the tutorial, and that the style is set to the current style. You will know when a dimension style is current by the arrow. You can also go to the Gearbox pull-down menu and choose Set Current. Pick the Close button. You are now able to go on to the dimensioning practice assignment if you are following along with the Kendall Hunt ebook, or if you are taking an in-person class with me.